Welcome back to GRR for episode 60.
And in true form, to try to stay to 60 minutes, each entry we have in our top 10 this week, it has to be gone in 60 seconds, which it won't. But that's 2 episode jokes in 1 episode. You're welcome, Internet.
Wow. And it's a Nicolas Cage joke.
Which is
He's
always
involved,
worthwhile.
which is always Internet.
Do we have no sports references this week?
No, I'm giving you a break.
Okay, good. Thank you. I am Eddie D. I'm joined again by Mr. Mike and KG. How are you guys this week?
Fantastic. Standards rolled out, and we're not going to talk about Hearthstone, so good.
I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about next week. And where the heck is our supplemental for the launch of Hearthstone?
Yeah. I'm lazy.
There's just so much Hearthstone going on that we don't have time for.
I'd rather just play it, but we'll get to it.
This is not a Hearthstone episode. People are already groaning as we go on about it. This week, you want to tell the nice folks what we're doing?
This week we're going to talk about the top 10 weapons in gaming. And our lists were done kind of sort of differently, but I did my list mostly based around how the weapons felt to use. Which ones made me the most giddy?
See, I went for, in conjunction with, like, power level and feels, and it's basically I just picked 10 cool weapons.
Yeah, I went with the cool thing, and there's some nostalgia factor in mine for sure, but I also try to, like, really spread it out across, like, a whole bunch of different genres for shit that you're just like, oh, whatever you got to use it. But going into the screaming, honorable mentions. 3 things that I thought were worth bringing up, but maybe not needed to make the top 10. BFG 9000 from Doom. We even got to see The Rock call it a big fucking gun in that horrible movie. Did either of you play Tenku?
No.
Tenku.
So, it was like a ninja stealth game, like on the PlayStation.
Oh,
Tenchu.
Tenchu,
sorry. And,
yes.
You could kill people with poison rice. Which was the most ridiculous thing in the world. So like a guard would be walking by and he'd be like, and he'd like slide out a bowl of poison rice. Oh, look, someone brought rice for me. And then they would eat it and die. Hysterical weapon. And then I went actually with kind of a throwback for anyone that went to CC's as a kid and played shmups. The bomb from Raiden. Remember that fucking ridiculous like jet fighter, like shoot fucking bullet hell game? And then the bomb that would just wipe the whole screen out? Come on. It was dope.
Oh, that's some illusion for my lists.
All right, my honorable mentions go to the proximity mines from GoldenEye. I know a lot of people would argue that this needs to be on the list. What? Green ones?
Well, all the mines had a different color in GoldenEye.
These were the gray ones. I don't know.
There was green, red, and yellow.
I don't remember colors, but the mines you threw on the wall, and you would just hide in an air duct and throw them all around the outside of it and watch the other person screen peeking just die as they walk past. And it was great. I love that. Also, the 2x4 from Splatterhouse was the first time I really started getting that urge to kill in my veins when I was a kid. When I saw you would just hit them and they would splatter against the back wall, hence the name of the game, Splatterhouse. Third, I have from my honorable mentions list, I almost put this on my regular list, but it loses its charm very quickly, but it's still awesome, and it was a great addition to the game. Saints Row 2, the Penetrator, the giant purple dildo bat that wiggled as you ran, and you would just slap the shit out of people with it. It was fantastic.
I got some comedy weapons, so my honorable mentions, I'll start things off with the cow launcher from the terrible South Park first-person shooter game.
Oh my god.
This was the Insta-Gib weapon where it would shoot an actual cow and it would fall on top of the person asshole first, eating the other character through the asshole. Also have the golden hammer from Super Smash Bros. In the later iterations, once they added the fact that the hammer top could fall off the hammer in Smash Bros., the golden hammer became the weapon. And then it even got like a cool little like glowing entrance when it came into the map. And then lastly is the Lionheart Gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII, because fuck you everyone, Final Fantasy VIII is great. Those are mine.
The Gunblade was beautiful in its design, and the mechanics of adding that extra button click when you're swinging it was pretty cool. It just didn't feel as good, but I thought about it. I almost put it on my list just because it's cool as shit.
Well, are we ready to jump into this top 10?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
I'm going to start out with something that was a feel and cool and just a great weapon all around. For those of you that listen, everyone knows that we love Bethesda games, but in Fallout 3 you had the railroad gun, which shot, whenever you shot it, it would shoot a fucking railroad spike and it would just make a fucking choo-choo sound like a goddamn train whenever you were running around, and you could peg people against the wall with it. Amazing.
I'll have something similar to the predecessor to that later on. Hint, hint.
I'm surprised you went with this one over the mini nukes, the Fat Mans.
So the hard contender here for me was actually the junk gun, and not because it was cool, but only because someone made a fan video and they made their character look like LeVar Burton, and they would only shoot books out of it, and it was just the whole video was rainbows behind books and the Reading Rainbow music playing in the background.
That's awesome.
I can do anything. Just murdering fucking people with books out of your junk gun. But yeah, railroad gun still wins pretty much just for the choo-choo noise.
Yeah.
All right, my number 10, speaking of Final Fantasy weapons, the Buster Sword. I like the Buster Sword a little bit better just because it was ultra animu and it was gigantic and there was no way anybody could ever hold that thing. And I'm not talking about the one, I don't know if it was called the Buster Sword in the Advent Children, but the original Final Fantasy VII Buster Sword, it was just cool as hell looking. This one was less about feels because you didn't really feel anything when you're in a turn-based fucking fighting game, but it's just cool as shit. I would love to fucking own one. I know I wouldn't be able to carry it.
Most
swing
cosplayed
it.
weapon ever.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to give it a nod for being cool as shit, and I like it better than a giant purple dildo. Take that for what you will.
Well, moreover, I think the Buster Sword just was a perfect foil to Sephiroth's Masamune. You know, it's 8 feet long but toothpick thin versus something that's 6 feet long and gigantic and looks absolutely unwieldy. Yeah, no, the Buster Sword was iconic, especially for the PlayStation generation as far as weaponry goes.
Amen.
It even got made fun of in Fallout with a bumper sword.
Yes.
Yes, it did. My number 10 is, I had to actually look this up because I couldn't think of the name of it, but this gun in Borderlands 2 was my favorite fucking weapon from the series, and it's the Longitudinal Morning Star. You get it for some quest, but this is one of the talking guns that when you fire it will say stuff, and this one was the one that was just like a giant douche no matter what you did. Like, if you shot somebody, it would go, "It had a family, you murderer." Or, if you reloaded prematurely, "Oh, wasting ammo. I guess we're made of money." I thought that was just so brilliant the first time I got it, and I never got rid of this gun. I know there were more powerful versions of it later, but this gun just held a place in my heart for the entire time I played Borderlands 2. Fucking hysterical. Tip of the hat to Gearbox for coming up with this great weapon. Number 10, Longitudinal Morning Star.
Yeah, it's one of the few tips that I had I would ever give to that frickin' company. But yes, they had some badass guns, and I couldn't figure out which one I wanted to put on myself, so I just kind of skipped the whole Borderlands thing.
Dude, there's so many amazing guns that came out of that game, too, and so many of them you'd only get through one playthrough and never see them again.
Yeah.
You know, so It's definitely a hard choice there, but it is funny to be made fun of as you do things.
It is.
Moving on to number 9, I went a little bit different direction with this one. I figured KG would appreciate it, though. I went with the Yamato cannon from StarCraft.
Oh, that is a good entry.
It's definitely a weapon, and everyone remembers trying to amass battle cruisers and just fuck up somebody's day with those. Yamato cannon operational.
Battle Cruiser Online. Yeah, as far as the tech and all that, getting to that point, yeah, there was nothing beating that if you got to it, because that's a very late and long StarCraft match. If you're getting fleet of battle cruisers and building and teching into the Yamato cannon, yeah, it's definitely worthy of a spot because it is that fucking punishing, and it pretty much seals the game. Sorry, Scourge for Zerg, you ain't gonna be able to take down a fleet of them.
I got nothing to say because I've never really played StarCraft all that much. But it sounds cool.
It was huge. When you click that button and you had that giant-ass fucking blast go forward, everyone else, like, if you ever got to that point, everyone else is just like, oh, god damn it, fuck me.
Yep.
All right, my number 9 is the Donatello's bow staff from pretty much any TMNT game.
There you go. Good call.
And this
Donatello,
one,
best turtle.
he is the best turtle. I mean, obviously we all liked Michelangelo when we were little kids, but then we started getting brain cells together and realized that Donatello was cool as shit. Donatello's bow staff was broken as hell in any game that ever had the turtles in it. It had the length. They tried to keep the power equivalent to everybody else's. So Michelangelo and Raphael got screwed because of their really short distance that they can hit. But Donatello, man, even in the first Nintendo, like, he was the broken character. You could not even get anywhere in that game without him. And if he died, you just press restart on the NES because you're done. Like, he's the only one that's going to carry you through that game. So Donatello's bow staff, even in the arcade game, was fucking just balls. So that's my number 9.
Do you remember the arcade fighter? Is that what you're talking?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, because he had the most length, and in a fucking beat 'em up, you would just kill shit before it got anywhere near you.
No. This was like a Street Fighter. It wasn't a beat 'em up. It was
Tournament Fighters.
The Tournament Fighter. There we are. That's the name of it. Yeah, and he had such ridiculous poke range.
Yep.
And you could never fucking get close enough to him. And then his ulti was like a screen-filling dragon thing. So yeah, absolutely Donatello, best character.
Yeah, he's broken. I love him.
We'll go to my number 9, and I said we weren't going to talk about Hearthstone, but I found a way to get Hearthstone into this. My number 9 is Death's Bite from Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. This weapon was OP as shit when introduced in Naxxramas. It helped spawn one of the most overpowered decks in the game in Grim Patron, and is to this day, and now that standard exists, it is definitely the most missed thing in the warrior repertoire. It is super high on power level, and I think at this point, all of the weapons are going to be compared to it, even weapons that are of greater rarity. Like, if they ever put out a legendary weapon, the first thing it's going to be compared to is Death's Bites, and losing it in standard really hurts the warriors a lot. But that's why it makes my list. It's definitely the best weapon from the card game, and one of my favorites, number 9, Death's Bite.
Dude, as a Control Warrior player, having to flip out your Death's Bite for like an Arcanite Reaper just seems so piss poor.
Oh yeah, you miss out the Whirlwind effect, you're paying 1 more for 1 more damage, or 2 cumulative. Yeah, not good. Setup executes with it. I know. Listeners, I'm sorry. I wanted to talk about Hearthstone.
You know, not only was Death's Bite just powerful as shit, but it was versatile as shit, too. I mean, 4 to the face? Like, that's...
4 to the face, it pops, you spin out 1 damage, you execute, boom.
Like, it's ridiculous. That weapon was ridiculous. It deserves to be on the list.
All right, then moving on to number 8, I have another different direction type thing. Going with the T-Virus from Resident Evil.
Oh, interesting.
It's a biological weapon.
Yes,
it works.
It creates the entire series. Everything from fucking regular ass, like, zombies to the crazy dogs to everything in the whole thing.
Wesker.
It's all T-Virus based.
And you're like, drop the mic.
I don't know what else to say. It's overpowered as shit.
Yeah, I guess it is very powerful since it spawned an entire series of video games based off of this one weapon.
And then movies.
And movies.
And then movies,
Wesker throwing his stupid sunglasses at you.
Don't pray he doesn't lose his sunglasses in MVC3. That's when you know shit got real.
All right, moving on. My number 8 is the chain gun for the heavy weapons guy in Team Fortress. I'm going to specifically say 1.5 because it felt more powerful in 1.5 than it does in Team Fortress 2. Another reason why I don't like Team Fortress 2. Sasha. Yeah, well, yes, it has a name in part 2. So my story will be a little bit more about how I felt about it. Then now we're starting to get into the feels one for me. When I used to play Team Fortress 1.5 a hell of a lot, or Team Fortress Classic, this weapon, I know it was like the noob tube or whatever of back then, but you had to have some skill in it. You had to find the hallways to do it. You couldn't shoot across. You had to like dodge and sneak your way across to fort to even use this weapon. But once you got somebody in a corner or in a hallway or in a small room, they were fucked. And you would just giggle like a maniac as you're just wiping out scout after medic. And I absolutely loved the first video that came out for the heavy weapons guy in Team Fortress 2 to preview him, and him just laughing maniacally as he's shooting the gun. It definitely reminded me of myself when I used to play the game before they added characterization to the classes. So definitely gets a big nod from me. Number 8, Chain Gun, Sasha.
You got anything, Mike? Because I've never played Team Fortress.
Oh my god!
Oh, wow. So, to Matt's point, the videos, you should just watch it because they're funny.
Yes.
But the video one of the things that I actually did love about the video they did for TF2 with this is he's like cleaning it in the video and he finds a thumbprint on it and he goes pretty much apeshit because he wants to know who touched his gun. But in the game, you can slowly rotate it in two and you can see the thumbprint on the barrel. Like when you're playing the game. It's amazing.
There's a lot of little nods in that game. I'll always give it credit for that. I like Team Fortress. I just really wish they threw grenades back in at least.
Some say I am not fast. This is true. But I know none faster than Bullet.
Sandwich.
Alrighty, cool. So this is my first feels. Yes, I know I've already had a Hearthstone card, but this is my first feels that has a story to it. When Matt and I would sit down and play Dreamcast games, there was obviously a lot to pick from. Dreamcast had a huge library, and Matt had pretty much everything under the sun for it, even things I had never heard of. And one particular genre I've never really been big into were bullet hell kind of games. And you kind of alluded to it with your write-in entry. So my number 8 is the Gravity Bomb from Giga Wings.
Gravity! Boomba!
Namely, because that voice actor loved his job so goddamn much. Like, there's, I think, 4 different characters in the game, and each of them have their own screen-clearing bomb, and most of them deliver it with, like, a minimal level of excitement and anguish, as best as it could be. There's Sparku Bomba, and that's the only other one I could think of, because I always got relegated to him. But when this guy activates that weapon, he must have been eating a steak dinner and getting a blowjob, because he is having the best time in the universe saying, "Gravity Bomba!" Plus, it's a screen clear in bullet hells. What's more important in those kinds of games? So yeah, that's my story and why I love that particular dude. I hope he gets more work, and I would love to see it be introduced into other things. Number 8, Gravity Bomb, Giga Wings.
God, dude, remember how much we laughed our asses off the first time we fucking heard that?
Oh yeah, no, I put my controller down and I died like 4 times in a row. I could not stop laughing.
That was fantastic. We were like, what did he say?
You get that seizure-inducing flash that these kind of games make up for you, and this guy just screaming at the top of his lungs as though he's hitting climax Gravity Bomb.
Thank you so much for putting this on the list. I truly appreciate it.
I guess following on the feels train, I went with my number 7 as the Chainsword from Space Marine. Did either of you play Space Marine?
Yeah, I have it.
So, nope. Oh my fucking god. The first time when you're sitting there and you're revving this chainsword up, it's a sword that's a chainsaw. For those of you that don't know what a chainsword is. And the first time you grab an orc by the head and just shove the thing through his waist until it like slowly just cuts all the way through his body, it's fucking amazing. It's like one of the most visceral, over the top, you just go, oh! type weapons that I've ever used in a video game. And it's fucking amazing. And if you haven't played this game, buy it and just do that all day.
Way better than the Gears of War version.
Oh, dude, it doesn't even fucking compare.
No.
It's so brutal.
Which, ironically, this game, the Space Marine game, was cribbing Gears of War in its playstyle, but it actually lets you have fun with the game as opposed to Gears of War, which is hide and seek. In Space Marine, it was over the shoulder, third person, chainsword, the whole deal. I think it was even made in the same exact engine. I think it's the Unreal 3 engine. But yeah. Space Marine did it 10 times better. The only thing that held back Space Marine was its repetitiveness, because there's only so many orcs you can kill.
Well, let's throw in some chaos for you. But yeah, dude, it's amazing. It's one of those games that you play through it once, playing through it a second time, meh. But that first time you play through this game, it's amazing, and the chainsword is one of the better feels in it. Number 7, Chainsword Space Marine.
Number 7, Chainsaw. That would put me up to my number 7, which is the... Huh?
Math.
Which is the 360 whip from Castlevania 4. I know everybody... Well, not everybody, but there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, it takes away from the challenge of Castlevania. I don't give a fuck. It was amazing, and I really wish that Castlevania would go back to that looser style of control. And actually, that's why I liked... Was it Harmony of Dissidence on the PS2? It was the sequel to Lament. Yes. It felt great because you had whips that could go a little further than just right in front of you. You could whip it around a bit. And but the 360 whip from Castlevania 4 just felt perfect. You could just let it dangle and fucking knock out shit underneath you. Like, it was great. I love that fucking whip, and I don't know why they haven't done it again. Maybe the complainers, the hardcore fucking Dark Souls people didn't want that anymore, but it was ingenious and it fucking worked great. And it was damn near a launch title for the Super Nintendo, and they never did it since. But love that game, love this weapon. That's my number 7, the whip from Castlevania 4, which could do 360 dangly. Oh, and tell me, who didn't just stand there the first time and just fucking hold it and just go fucking whipping it
around like an idiot?
Yeah, exactly.
Watch me whip.
You fucking asshole.
I want to make that video just for you now. It's just going to be a gif of that running with that song playing in the background. I'm just going to say, watch me whip over and over again as he whips the fucking whip around.
I think a lot of the reason you haven't seen it again is it's not Alucard, because everyone really wants to hype up how great Symphony was, which was a great game, but Super Castlevania was fucking amazing, and I think that whip had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll go to my number 7, and I'm going to pick the laptop gun from Perfect Dark. Now, obviously, you could throw in other weapons in this series into that category, the Super Dragon, or more notably, the Farsight X20 needs to be banned before the match starts weapon. But Laptop Gun just has so many cool feels to it, because I wasn't really big into alternate fire, or I don't think many shooters had a lot of alternate fire weapons that we were really acclimated with until Perfect Dark came along. And having this machine gun turn into a fucking turret was brilliant, because, again, to the same logic you had with the mines in GoldenEye, you can catch screen peepers. They're like, oh, he's at this corridor, fine, fuck it, here's a laptop gun. You're gonna come around the corner and die at like 4 frames per second, because that's the way it would chug in Perfect Dark at the death sequence. Not to mention, it was really broken, especially against the AI. Even like the dark bots would be stupid enough to go around the corner and try and fight you with a laptop gun firmly at your side, and while you got your Super Dragon in hand. I loved setting this up, and I loved this weapon in particular. Fuck Farsights. If you play with Farsights, you're a cheating asshole. So number 7, the best gun from the game, laptop gun, Perfect Dark.
That series had so many good weapons in it.
It did. Yeah. They were fucking... they really took GoldenEye and brought it to the next level in so many ways, but I love them both for their own reasons. But the laptop gun was fun. The Farsight gun was great in against AI. It felt good to just fucking pop the shit out of them.
You're a cheater.
But yeah, the laptop gun, definitely probably the best weapon in that entire series. I love that shit.
Moving on to my number 6. I think this is like one of the most creative weapons that I can really remember, definitely in recent memory, but maybe even in gaming. And that's the Aperture Science handheld portal device, or the portal gun from Portal. I mean, come on, this thing was fucking great.
Yeah.
I mean, this game won, Indie Game of the Year right off the bat, if you can really call it an indie game. But super creative puzzle game. The whole concept being you shoot a blue portal on one side, a yellow portal on the other, and things that go through the other end. And just the amount of physics involved of like jumping off a second story and having a portal behind you that like shoots you forward at the same speed of which you were falling, and just all the neat stuff you could do with it, make turrets drop from it and go somewhere else. It was just, they were fucking amazing.
You know, it was technically an indie game because Valve purchased that game from whatever little development studio they were making that game, and Valve was like, holy shit, this is amazing, we're gonna take it. So
yes, please.
So I definitely still consider that an indie title, but then again, so was Team Fortress. Team Fortress was made as a mod to the original or Quake 2. But yeah, Portal Gun. It's fucking Portal Gun.
Yeah.
Right? Is there a lot to say outside of that about it?
I just want to see it be introduced as an actual gun in like Half-Life 3. I think that would be super cool. Like
that would be a tough choice.
It.
Gravity gun or Portal Gun?
I'm taking the Portal Gun. I would have so much goddamn fun with that. That'd be awesome.
Actually, yeah, I'd probably take Portal Gun too.
Just thinking of situations.
Just, you shoot out your 2 portals, then you flip to gravity gun and throw something through the first portal.
That's not bad.
Right?
Speaking of creative weapons, moving on to my number 6 is hair. And we all know what that's from. Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2.
Arr.
Almost every single attack in that game is revolved around this chick's hair. And I don't know why she cut her hair in part 2. That's just weird to me. She should
I think you're discrediting Sindel from Mortal Kombat.
She was garbage tier. Fuck Sindel.
Bayonetta's hair could become pretty much anything, and she weaved magic with it, and it was her outfit, it was her weapon, it would turn into giant fucking stiletto heels, it would do everything and anything, and screen clear, and beat the shit out of everything. My god, I love Bayonetta so much, and is the only reason I really still kind of want to get a Wii U, just so I could play part 2. I freaking love this weapon, everything about it, very ingenious, very eclectic, very insane, if you just want to keep ramping the adjectives up, but her hair, it was fucking amazing. So that's my number 6, Bayonetta's hair.
She does have guns, you know.
Who gives a shit about those? Her hair was amazing. But yeah, her guns were pretty badass because she had them locked into her fucking heels, but no, her hair...
Yeah, she had 4 fucking guns. And fought well with them.
True.
Yeah, I loved Bayonetta. And the second one, yes, you should be jealous. It is very good.
Yeah, it seems wicked cool.
We'll go to my number 6, and probably the least creative of this group, but still a creative weapon nonetheless. And that is the Wabbajack from the Elder Scrolls series. Very fantasy-oriented universe, and you throw in quite possibly the most fun thing you could possibly do. And that is a polymorph stick. So, the God of Madness, Sheogorath, he gives you this for going through his particular quest. And it varies depending on which version of Elder Scrolls you're playing, whether it was the Shivering Isles from Oblivion, or that weird, you're having a nightmare sequence from Skyrim. But the Wabbajack is exactly what I described it as. It is a stick that you point at a giant monster, and it turns into a bunny rabbit. Or a Clanfear turns into a turtle. And after a couple seconds, they explode. It's fucking hysterical, because this is a universe that takes itself quite seriously in its drama and fantasy fare, and to just throw in something that's asinine or hysterical as the Wabbajack, it really brings us to like the feels that you get, like what you had spoken with throwing a choo-choo noise onto the railgun in the Fallout series. It's just humorous in a place that shouldn't be, and I think that moves it up a lot more on my list than my previous entries. Not to mention Sheogorath is my favorite fucking Daedric god, especially in Shivering Isles, because if you punch him, he says you made a mistake, freezes you, and then throws you 3 miles above the top of the Shivering Isles and just lets you plummet to a pile of skeletons. It's hysterical. I love the god. I love his weapon. Number 6, the Wabbajack.
This thing was fucking great. The first time you use it, too, you just get real giddy like a little kid.
Yeah. OP as shit, though.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's the most OP weapon.
Well, speaking about OP weapons, breaking into the top 5, and I'm going with Golden Gun from Goldeneye.
Oh, there you go.
Means one-shot kill as a pistol.
So
is this Halo?
But the big question is, I understand a lot of people. I'm not into the one-shot kills. The Golden Gun was powerful. I'll never deny that. But was it? Were you the type of gamer that loved insta-gib?
So we were really into playing different types of matches whenever we would play. So, like, we would play Golden Gun matches and then go Mines only or Blades only, or, and we would just rotate like that. Or, you know, Explosives only, you know, so like rocket launchers and fucking grenades and mines, but we were really into that. So, like, Golden Gun was always in the rotation for us.
Yeah, that's kind of how we played too. It was more along the lines of, okay, a Golden Gun match came up, because we randomized the shit out of everything every time we played, and
the winner picks the next weapon, and it can't be one in the last two. It's typically how we did it.
Yeah, exactly. And Golden Gun matches just went by super quick, because, you know, one shot, one kill. But, yeah, powerful. Definitely powerful.
Iconic, too. I mean, the Golden Gun, as far as like anybody that's played video games, is well aware of this weapon, well aware of what it does, has probably used it. And even, I guess they've been remaking this for every single Nintendo system since they've been coming out past 64, so even the younger generation has probably also played with Golden Gun. Number 5, Golden Gun.
Well done.
My number 5, the Redeemer from the Unreal Tournament series. I at first I was going to say UT 2004, but honestly, I probably enjoyed it more in Unreal Tournament. Man, just being able to hide somewhere on two worlds or facing worlds and just hiding in one of those corners that you can see the other side and just firing this thing off, and you see through its like eyes basically through a camera on the front of this ridiculous explosive nuke, and just fly it wherever the hell you want. And you can get really tricky with it. You can start going down corridors, and that's the funniest shit in the world, is just going through their front door with a giant nuke moving super slow and just wiggling your way into their like kind of spawn area and just blowing the shit out of them. And you can just picture on these emotionless faces, you can picture like a texture map swap of them all going before they die, because how the fuck did that get in here? I love this fucking gun. It had a really slow respawn time, but I still would camp the shit out of it just to get the Redeemer. I love that damn weapon. Granted, in Unreal Tournament 2004, it got a little less powerful just because the maps got wider and more expansive, and I think they kind of reduced its damage a little bit. But in Unreal Tournament, God, I would spend hours just trying to get that weapon over and over again so I can just keep basically trolling the shit out of the enemy team. Love that weapon. Number 5, Redeemer in Unreal Tournament.
And having been one of those people trolled, fuck the Redeemer. Many a match is lost to screen exploding, essentially.
Yeah.
A great series with a lot of great weapons too.
Yes.
Yes.
I almost put the flat cannon on
here.
Yeah,
I was about to say you've got some serious choices there, but yeah, who doesn't remember getting exploded?
My face doesn't. We'll go to my number 5, and this is definitely a feels one. It's from a very specific expansion to a game. So yeah, the game is Phantasy Star Online, the Episode 2. This is when you could eclipse the level 100 cap, which was already grindy enough in it. But the weapon I've picked is the Double Lavis Cannon. For those of you that don't know what this is, which I'd imagine is a shitload of you, when Phantasy Star Online came out, they added in the double lightsaber, just like Darth Maul, because this is around the time where there could be nothing fucking cooler than a lightsaber and another lightsaber. They also introduced something akin to like the Master Sword, where it was a sword that would shoot a projectile at whomever, and that's what the original Lavis Cannon was in Episode 1 of Phantasy Star. The Double Lavis Cannon was the hardest fucking weapon in Episode 2 to get your hands on if you were a hunter, which were ironically the melee class in Phantasy Star. And they decided they were going to implement the same Darth Maul mentality to their strongest weapon, the Lavis Cannon, make the Double Lavis Cannon, which is essentially a purple double lightsaber Master Sword hybrid thing. And this weapon would just clear rooms. You could just stand there, and known for its gameplay, womp, 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 womp. You could hit that combo and the room would be done. You move on to the next room. And this particular weapon had such feels for me because this was like my carrot on a stick. This was my grandfather's sword from Diablo 2 that everyone spent so much time grinding to get a hold of. And the experience was a little cheapened because everyone figured out how to dupe shit instantly with this version of the game. So yeah, I got a duped version of the double Lavis cannon, and I was a little sad, but I still had it, so it was cool as shit for when I had it. But in hindsight, I really regretted not grinding up to level 200 and finding it in the most impossible way against Dark Falls and hope it dropped, and I got it. I loved just the chase for this weapon, and then once getting it, feeling like a god in this game. So number 5 is the double Lavis cannon, a series in a game that had a shitload of creative and cool weapons.
Yeah, and I love the mags in that game too. Like the fucking Dreamcast mag and the fucking Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yep.
God, that game, I missed that game so much. So many cool
So
weapons.
do I.
The rainbow weapons and fucking, dude.
The maracas. I loved the maraca machine guns.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Holy shit. Damn. What happened to you, Phantasy Star? Where did you go?
They stayed in Japan and never came over. The true sequel's out in Japan right now. Phantasy Star 2, or Phantasy Star Online 2 is in Japan. They're not porting it over.
Put your weeaboo hat on.
I know.
Get yourself a Japanese version.
Well, actually, there are English patches if you want to play it on the computer, and there are ways to get on that server. Well, the one thing that I was really looking forward to was the PS Vita version, which just fucking fizzled. Thank you, fucking Sony, for not supporting the shit out of that.
Most Japanese companies hate the American market, so...
This is true.
Jelly.
Examples. Number 4. Another curveball direction for a weapon. I was thinking about animal weapons and just using animals as weapons in video games, and I settled on Yoshi from Super Mario.
Okay.
You can eat your enemies, you can spit them out at people, you can many times sacrifice him so that you can make jumps to other areas, killing Yoshis.
Poor Yoshi.
But, yeah, I mean, who doesn't remember Yoshi and just how great Yoshi was in general, and just wrecking shop once you got it. But the first time you get Yoshi and you're just, like, spitting shells out at fucking people and just, like, oh, God, it was dope.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I wanted to add was how, for feels-wise, because I played this game with my brother, so this obviously is the alternating one player goes and the other player goes, and you want to complete the map. I remember if my brother was Mario and got to get Yoshi first, I would not go ahead in the map, and I would go back to the level he just played so I could have Yoshi. And if either of us lost Yoshi, we'd flip shit and go back to the first level you get Yoshi. Yeah, Yoshi is amazing. Plus, you can eat all the turtle shells and get a variety of things happen, like shoot fire, fly, do that weird stomp thing that the yellow Yoshi got. Yeah, I love Yoshi.
If you ever watched, you ever see that YouTube show Game Theory?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You ever watch the Yoshi episode just explaining how Mario beats the shit out of Yoshi?
He's just a horrible, horrible person.
He's an awful.
Eat that apple.
Yeah, the part that really like resonated with me from that episode was seeing the Super Nintendo animation of him punching Yoshi in the fucking back of the head. He donkey punch him to fucking eat something. That's fucked up, man. That's great.
How you gonna do Yoshi like that, dog?
All right, so my number 4 is the lightsaber from Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. I know, that's a hell of a long name. Kyle Katarn, when he finally got that fucking, that laser sword, copyright, because there was something about the controls of that game, and I know I knew some people that were a tiny bit older than me back in the day that loved Dark Forces 1 and kept talking about how amazing it felt to get into lightsaber battles with people because the mouse is really almost perfect for lightsaber control. And then once I got my hands on the sequel, because I never really played the first one, he wasn't fucking kidding, man. You know, in single player mode, you would just kind of run past stormtroopers and just block everything that they were shooting at you and just wipe them out in one shot. But when you got into multiplayer, that's where this fucking weapon shined, because you could deflect shots, and it became a ballet. It became a dance of deflecting shots and jumping in and fucking clashing swords, and every swing of your mouse really felt like you were swinging the lightsaber, and you had to be pretty meticulous about which directions you were swinging. You had to pay attention to where their sword was versus where you were swinging your sword. It was not 1-to-1, but it was damn better than a Wii could ever do. I loved the feel of this weapon. So now we're really getting into the feels. My top 4 is all feels. And this took a high level of skill to wield, but you could still play other characters. If you weren't good at the lightsaber, you could still play with like the rocket launchers and stuff like that to try to like get past the people who are really good at swordplay. But this weapon, they got 100% right, and I think they did it better in that particular version of the game than any other version. So I'll give it to lightsaber in Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2.
Such a long name.
Is that different than Jedi Outcast? Is it a different series I'm thinking of?
Outcast was with the next one in the series, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kyle
That's the one I remember Kyle from.
Yeah, the first Dark Forces, there were no lightsabers. He just used a gun. And then Jedi Knight was the sequel to that, where it was 3D, but it was really simplistic 3D, and they started using lightsabers. And then the next one was the one I'm talking about, where Kyle Katarn starts off with just a regular weapon, then you find the lightsaber, or start building your lightsaber.
Okay, yeah.
And then the one after that was Jedi Academy, where it wasn't as good as the other ones. He went to find Luke in the woods and shit like that. It wasn't that great. But yeah, the one before that, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Nerds.
Yeah, nerds.
I think I got the name right. I think it's Dark Forces 2. There's so many in that series.
Oh, I'm sure someone's already typing if you're wrong.
Oh, yeah. Oh, completely. So I admit that might not be the name. Whatever one Kyle Katarn found his sword in, that's the one.
I think it's Outcast.
It might,
KG Camp.
Yeah, it might be Jedi. Hey, if it's Jedi Outcast, hats off to you, because
Hashtag Team KG.
You would think I would fucking know, because I played the shit out of that game for hours on end. But there were so many, I got confused.
It also doesn't help that Star Wars games use like 4 words in all their subtitles and then mishmash them together.
Yes.
Usually involving Jedi, Dark, and something else.
Actually, I think you might be right. I think it might be Jedi Outcast. I can
yes!
see.
Points!
So my reward, I get to go to mine. Number 4.
He's right.
And this is the...
You've been confirmed as right.
Yes! Oh, it feels so good. Vindication. Another V word. Valentine from the Soul Calibur series, number 4 for me.
Soul Calibur!
That is Ivy's sword from Soul Calibur. So, I was never the best Ivy player in the universe. As a matter of fact, I'm probably one of the worst Ivy players in the universe. I prefer Voldo. Cause...
creepy.
But... Cause creepy. But the Valentine as just a weapon as a whole is fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. It's a sword plus a whip plus it can break off into pieces and be like flying razors. Plus it can dig underneath the ground and pop up like a spike. It was the most versatile weapon, but she was the hardest fucking character to do some of the inputs for her moves, like the throw where she holds you back and lets the weapon separate and slice across your body. The inputs for that were like ridiculously over the top and unnecessary. And obviously if you weren't fast enough, your opponent could see it coming and be like, oh, okay, you're setting up to do the really cool throw that does a shitload of damage. I'll just stop you. But I think it was the 3rd entry where her reach was overpowered as shit and she could just ring you out with air juggles. Yeah, I'm almost positive that was 3. She was just broken as shit. I loved just the aesthetic of the weapon within a universe that's based solely around weapons. This is definitely the coolest. I mean, obvious nods, you could throw in the Soul Edge itself because it's really cool, but for me, just the thing that captured me about the universe as a whole from the get-go was Ivy's sword, not her tits. Surprise. But love the weapon, never played her very well, but definitely holds a place in my heart. The number 4, the Ivy Valentine sword from the Soul Calibur series.
I actually have a mini statue of her sitting right next to us right now, and her character design in general was fantastic. Well, her first character design, when they Kardashianed her and made her boobs huge and her butt huge, that's when I really was like, what did you do to Ivy? Her hair was awesome. Her fucking outfit was awesome. Her weapon, of course, was fucking amazing. Just her whole aesthetic was just ridiculously perfect. And then they had to go and ruin her by making her broken and big Kardashian.
Did her beach
Underboob.
volleyball.
Yeah, it's stupid. They made her stupid. It's one of the things I'll never forgive on that series.
So bitter. We're top 3 already?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, wow. We're going to the Olympics. Who's getting
Trucking
bronze?
along. So this is the bronze. One of the most powerful weapons in games, one of the most notable weapons in games, and one of the most widely regarded franchises. We're going Zelda, and we're going Master Sword.
Not Boomerang?
Going Master Sword.
Not Hookshot?
No. Not Hookshot. We didn't go with Fi. I thought about going with Fi.
Fi would have been fine.
But
Oh, the
Master
game
Sword,
was
I mean,
bad.
Master Sword's it's it, right? Like, that's what you need to beat Ganon. It's one of the first weapons that I think probably any of us ever had to try to get in a game, like as a big goal that you had to move up to so that you could win the game.
Yeah.
I mean, just iconic on so many levels. It's been a part of every Zelda game, so it's great.
And one of the most purchased cosplay ornaments.
Yeah, it's very true.
Even if you're not cosplaying, people just buy the damn sword and shield just to put on their wall.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten the Master Sword in Hyrule Warriors yet?
Oh yeah.
Just wreck shit.
All I do is wreck shop all day, every day. Yeah, we played a shitload of Hyrule Warriors, and that's what really made me think about the sword a lot more. My other favorite, it's probably one of my favorite weapons besides Epona or Darunia's hammer, just because Darunia's a badass.
A horse?
A horse?
It's an
Maybe in Shadow
eclectic
Colossus,
list.
I'll give it to
Yeah.
the design of Master Sword. It's definitely really cool looking. I liked how they went full out on the design, and it looks cool as shit on the Super Nintendo.
And almost every iteration, it looks great. They've done this weapon a lot of justice in every series.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like how they make it integral to each entry within the universe since the first one. Like, in 3, that was, again, to beat Ganon, but you could actually upgrade it to get the Golden Master Sword. In Ocarina of Time, that's what you use to actually travel through time. In, what's it called? Wind Waker, that's the thing that gets stuck in Ganon's head and ultimately finally kills Ganon. Yeah, I just like its iconography.
Moving on to my number 3. Speaking of sticking in heads, I alluded to it earlier. The stake gun, Painkiller.
Jesus.
Love this fucking weapon. I don't even care about the game. Like, the gameplay is great. It's very Doom / Serious Sam-esque with just bad guy after bad guy just flowing into the screen so that you can kill them. And the stake gun wasn't the most screen clearing weapon, but damn it, if it's not cool as shit to shoot a stake into a ragdoll physics enemy into a wall through their face and watch them dangle and twitch. I love the Painkiller series so much that I've purchased every single one ever released. Thank you, Steam sales. But I also purchased the original when it came out new. I don't give a shit that it's not the most powerful. It's just the most fun to use. And that game really pushed the boundaries of just gore feel physics back then, because it's pretty old of a game series. So I give it number 3, stake gun, Painkiller. So much fun.
All the fifis.
I'm a little sad that what happened with, what was it, People That Can Fly, or People Can Fly? Is that the name of the guys?
Yeah.
And what happened with them and how Cliffy B's like, come make this Bullet Storm game with me. And they're like, okay, Cliffy B, you made Gears of War. And that turned out to be a fucking turd of a game. But yeah, Painkillers were great. And as you said, the gore was extremely over the top and quite visceral, to use a word we've used a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this list is going to have the word visceral come up a lot. But to be fair, Bulletstorm had a lot of fun guns, too. They were really good at making inventive, interesting guns.
Yeah.
It's another one of those great, just fun titles. Not the
is.
best title in any way, but you just have a good time playing it.
Yeah. It's one of those you can pop in nowadays and just feel good about just cranking that chain gun at the giant 10-story tall boss in the graveyard, or shooting the stake gun as many times as you can into people's faces to get them stuck to each other or to other things. It's fucking great. That series was so good. Damn it. Number 3, stake gun.
Cool. We'll go to my number 3. and that is the Blades of Chaos, which are wielded by none other than the God of War himself, Kratos, from the God of War series. We use the word visceral, and I think I'll continue with it. There is no one in gaming that can top brutality of visceral feel than Kratos. And there are a lot of really cool weapons that he has at his disposal, but none of them are fucking grafted to his arms and responsible for him becoming essentially the character that we know within the universe. The Blades of Chaos were there when he murdered his family. Spoilers. They impale hydras. They fuck up Zeus before he gets the blade. They're just one of the coolest weapons. Versatile as shit for a action franchise that's gonna throw in like puzzle elements, and really just define the series as a whole, because it's an action game. You're defined by the weapons you choose to use, and it's definitely the reason I would put these over Dante's Rebellion, the sword and guns that he uses. They're just cool as shit. They do everything you'd want them to do within the universe, and Kratos is just fucking badass as shit for using them. Simple as that. Number 2, Blades of Chaos. Or number 3, rather. Blades of Chaos, God of War series.
Yeah, you slow down. We're not to the silver medal yet.
As much as it takes 1,000 hits to kill anybody in that game, it was still fun to do those 1,000 hits just because of that fucking chain attached fucking mini swords that just fly all over the damn place, and all the different combos you could do. That was fucking cool.
Yeah, the combos were cool as shit. He looks fucking super awesome doing it, and you're fucking shit up, and it's a bloody mess no matter what.
Yeah, if we were going to throw in comic book characters, I got to give it to Lobo, too, for having essentially the same exact thing. I don't know if they kind of copied it from Lobo or whatever, but he has a giant hook on a chain attached to his arm that he constantly fucking uses as an accessory.
Pudge?
Very similar.
Okay.
Yes. Now we'll move on to the silver medals.
Silver medals.
Apologies.
And I'm going with another incredibly iconic thing from another Nintendo franchise. I'm going with the Blue Shell. Mario
Blue Shell.
64.
Not Red Shell?
No, Blue Shell is
You're
the
a
shell
dick.
we all know.
You're just a
You're
dick.
terrible.
There's Twitter pictures of us recording live with me wearing a Blue Shell t-shirt up here. The Blue Shell, everyone knows the Blue Shell. Everyone hates the Blue Shell.
Except you.
Except last place.
It's like one of the most asshole weapons in any game.
It is such an asshole.
Dude,
weapon.
getting blue shelled like right before everyone's been blue shelled before the finish line,
Oh, yeah.
finishing first.
Oh, yeah.
And just despising, just hate staring the shit out of somebody who did it to you.
The Luigi stare.
You motherfucker. That fucking blue shell.
I can't believe you put this on the list. I despise you for this fucking entry right now.
I agree.
It's
And the fucking counter they introduced in 8 is not a counter.
the
horn?
the force push, get the shell to not hit you thing. What is it? The horn?
Yeah, it's a horn.
Fuck the blue shell.
He's so
Exactly.
upset.
Fuck
No,
the blue shell.
Honestly, Nintendo games, I really hate, like, you have to play Nintendo games multiplayer to enjoy them, in terms of, like, the multiplayer-centric ones, like Mario Party, Mario Kart, stuff like that, because
Sure.
shit like the blue shell, I call it the Nintendo cheat. Every time you are anywhere near fucking doing good, the built-in rubber banding in that game comes in its weapon drops. Like, you're just fucked. Like, you might as well not be first place, because if you're in first place, you're just fucked.
That's a lot of strategy when you're playing in Mario Kart 64 is hanging out in second until the last lap.
Exactly. You gotta hang out in second. Not even the last lap, the last fucking 20 feet, because you're gonna get fucked with the line right in front of you because of that blue shell. Fuck you for this one.
Blue shell. Number 2.
Fuck
your
blue shell.
Blue shell.
My number 2, Frostmourne from the Warcraft series in general. Now, this sword has a spirit in it. It's a rune blade, and it's badass. It's beautiful. I love the design of this thing so much so that I have a really cool Chinese knockoff statue thing that lights up with the frozen the Frozen Throne, it's like jammed into not the Frozen Throne itself, but it's jammed into a giant pillar of ice next to the Frozen Throne. And it glows blue with a blue LED underneath it. It's fucking gorgeous. The design of this thing is damn near perfect. I love the size, the skull on it is cool as hell. And it carried a storyline for a decade. Everybody wanted to know what was going on with the Lich King, aka Arthas. Arthas took this sword to try to protect his homeland, even knowing that it was going to corrupt him, even knowing that it had fucking evil inside of it, and it talks to him in his fucking helmet, and like, oh god. It's fucking, if you don't know what Frostmourne is, you go look it up, man. It's got a really cool fucking story with Ner'zhul, whatever the... Ner'zhul, yeah. Fucking, this fucking sword is just cool as shit, and it's the reason to fucking just drool over the whole Lich King aesthetic. Like, I love everything about the armor, but the sword is the greatest achievement out of that design. Whoever designed that in the first place, fucking major kudos to you. So my number 2, aka the silver medal, as Mr. Mike would like to say, goes to the greatest sword, in my opinion, in the history of swords, Frostmourne.
If you have anything to say, Mr. Mike, I wanted to segue real quick because my number 2 is another World of Warcraft entry. I was going to give Frostmourne the nod and agree with you, but there's one big issue that I have with putting Frostmourne versus what I picked.
So Frostmourne, I mean, it was the symbol for WoW. It was the symbol for Warcraft 3. It was actually on the front of the fucking box.
Yeah.
Because we used to get boxes when we bought video games. For those of you that are too young to know that. They used to come in these nice... Well, originally they were big boxes, and then they became tiny little boxes, and then now you just don't get them at all. But yeah, it used to be... Well, no, it was the expansion. So it was Arthas' face on the first one, and then Lich King face on the second one. You opened it up, and the sword was on there. I mean, to Matt's point, like, some of the most recognizable art, I think, from a video game series in a long time. Short of, like, the Buster Sword, honestly. Like, it's the thing that a lot of people want to buy just to have. I had a guy that used to work for me that had the full, like, $300 from Blizzard replica one, like, made out of metal and shit.
Yeah,
like,
I want
dude,
that thing.
Gorgeous. The amount of quality they put into that work, too, and just... I mean, it's Frostmourne.
Except for what KG's about to say, apparently.
My number 2 are, rather, because it's plural, the Warglaze of Azeroth.
As a rogue, I agree.
And the reason why, simply the reason why over Frostmourne, my dude can rock them. There was, back in BC, seeing like the rogues walking around with them, there was nothing fucking cooler. Illidan was like the first big baddie of the World of Warcraft games. I mean, obviously you can argue Cthulhu and all that, but no one's playing World of Warcraft to fight the fucking bug people. You want to fight icons within the franchise. And the first one you get your eyes on is Mr. You Are Not Prepared. And you see his weapons, you see him flying around at the trailer, you fight him, and oh shit, you can get him to drop them, and you as a character can walk around with these iconically badass fucking weapons. The fact that I want to say they were daggers, Mr. Mike, clarify.
Yes.
My warlock could stroll around with them if everyone else already had them. Which obviously he was last on the list to get them, but still, nonetheless, I could be walking around in my cool Putris armor set from Wrath of the Lich King, and we would go back to the classic raids once we were done with all the Wrath content and try and get, because my brother-in-law was obsessed with getting the Warglaves, because Illidan was his favorite character in the Warcraft series. We never got him to drop, but the chance that I could was, again, much like the double Lavis cannon from Phantasy Star or the Grandfather Sword from Diablo 2. These were the carrot on the stick, and this was like the ultimate carrot on the stick because these were fucking Illidan's weapons. I could fucking walk around with Illidan's weapons. That was enough for me. Frostmourne obviously is hugely iconic and really important to the franchise, but no one could walk around with Frostmourne because, well, lore. Warglaze of Azeroth, however, lore be damned, everyone gets to have them, It was super fucking cool to finally have that as, a warlock or any character that could equip a dagger. And not to mention, obviously, they are fucking badass, probably one of the most badass looking weapons in the Warcraft series or World of Warcraft that you could equip. Maybe Ashbringer is up there as well, but Warglaives, just because Warglaives, fuck, you can have them. Number 2.
I remember getting so furiously mad. So during like BC and then the beginning of Wrath, I was really into WoW. Like I had changed my work schedule to take another day off.
So you mean you were alive during that?
Yeah. But I mean, like I had rescheduled my work schedule to work doubles around, so I would have 3 days off in a row for our raiding schedule, for raiding and farming. And I was called into a raid to handle this fight because we needed the silence for the fight before Illidan. When you have, what is it? It's like the 5 monks or whatever, and you have to have rogues in there.
Yeah.
You have to have like 3 rogues to kick to get the silence out. So I was called in for that. I did that. Then we did the Illidan fight, and it was a DKP based system, and one of the Warglaives dropped, and they let me roll for it because I obviously didn't have DKP because I wasn't raiding with this group. They just needed a rogue for the kick. And I lost, and I was unbelievably pissed off. I rolled like a 6. Like, I remember, like, because I rolled first, I rolled a 6, and I literally just threw my fucking headset and walked off. I was so fucking angry. Because that shit was fucking hard, too. Like, during BC, like, that was a hard fight. Like, we were doing Sunwell content, and that was still hard as shit.
Yeah, the fucking Shadowbolt volley.
God.
As a healer, that was not a fun fight. As a healer with a shitty computer, mind you, that was not a fun fight. Computer lags to shit because he just throws out a bajillion things. Who stopped healing? Probably me.
Excellent number 2. I'm still just starting to get mad thinking about not getting that fucking Warglaive. And it's not like you had the set either. It was like the idea of getting the set was also impossible.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Better than Thunder Fury.
Drum roll. Number 1.
Gold.
The gold. Talking about things that we all know. Super famous from video games, from movies, from online series. Going with Scorpion Spear. The Get Over Here.
Get over here.
Fucking amazing. God, remember that CGI in the movie? When he opens his hand and it like kind of peeks out?
Well, I wouldn't...
Let's not celebrate that by any means.
Although, a really cool scene, because it had Fear Factory playing in the background.
But seriously, everyone fucking knows this. Cool as shit.
I was just going to say, going back to the WoW, who didn't have a Death Knight tank that used that stupid pull thing with the emote Get Over Here?
Oh,
The answer is nobody.
The answer, nobody. What the hell was that called?
Death Grip.
Death Grip, that's right.
Yeah, who did not have that emote set as a macro?
Yeah, exactly. No, extremely iconic for all of video gaming in general. People say that all the time. Even if you're just saying it by accident in some way, if you're just like, get over here, it immediately just conjures that image in your head. If you're just telling somebody to get over here, you're thinking about Scorpion. If you weren't before, you are after you say it.
Yup. Plus it's bullshit.
Well, it became bullshit later on. I wouldn't say it was so much bullshit in like the first Mortal Kombat, but
that's true.
They kind of made it
Liu Kang was bullshit in the first Mortal Kombat.
Yes, he was.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Good luck getting Get Over Here out.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Get Over Here is cool. It's fun to use. It's a fucking just a cool spear to pull people in and semi-stun them before you just fuck their faces up with 12 tiny little weak punches.
And it was amazing, right? Like the concept when it first came out, you're like, holy shit, that's cool. Who's the genius that wrote this?
Yeah, it's true, because you had Street Fighter throwing a lot of things, and Mortal Kombat threw in a pull as opposed to a push, kind of.
Which might sound stupid to the younger generation, but that was a big fucking deal. Like, like a mechanic to bring someone closer to you was huge.
And on the topic of fighting games, my gold... I'm going to get so much hate for this. What else is new? We're doing a top 10. My gold, my number one, goes to Mega Optic Blast in Marvel Capcom 2 from Scott Summers.
Scott Summers does not get a top.
I knew if anybody would be pissed off, it would be KG.
I'm just so angry I don't have words.
I'm sorry.
Lame.
I'm all about...
Totally lame.
I'm all about the pretties in video games and filling the entire screen of a fighting game with something you can't avoid. You can only block and still take a shitload of chip damage. Mega Optic Blast. The first time I saw this happen in a game or in this series, I was just like, I need to know how to do this all the time as much as possible. So I even built a team around this particular super special.
Lame.
Screen fillers. And I picked, and nobody had a screen fill as much as he did, but correct. I picked anybody else who could come close to filling the screen and just cheese chip the shit out of everybody. I would turtle, grow the bar, and then fill the best I could. I would probably knock them off balance, do something so that they would take it to the face and just screen fill. I loved doing this. I loved the look of it, how fucking arms out, angry fucking Scott Summers got when he would do this. Love this maneuver. My number one goes to Mega Optic Blast, Scott Summers Marvel Capcom series.
Lame. So let me guess, in Tekken you just play Lee and you just lay down and kick people when they come near you?
No, I would pick is the Bruce Lee character, what was his name? Lee? I forgot his name. Martial Law. Yeah, I would just do his backflip kick in your face over and over again. I don't know. I love the cheesy stuff.
Lame.
At least it's not Eddie Gordo.
I played him a little bit, but he
of
would
course
just
you did.
Mash buttons to fucking just do calisthenics all over people.
I just have to ask for my sanity. So your roster with this group, I'd imagine you had Iron Man.
Yes.
Maybe Ryu?
It depended. So it would definitely be Iron Man and Scott Summers every time.
And then Magneto.
Who?
Sometimes Ryu. Most of the time Ryu. I would say Ryu would be the third. But then occasionally I would throw in Cable just to be an extra dick.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. No, I'm saying it's a dick move. Like, I'm fully admitting.
You're a dick and nobody likes you.
Well, at least I'm not throwing blue shells, so fuck your...
That's the Marvel vs. Capcom equivalent of the blue shell as Cable.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay, fine. All right, we'll go to my gold, number one, and it's golden brown.
Whoa.
And that is my number one weapon in any game, the Metal Blades, Mega Man 2.
We're going to talk cheese? We're going to talk cheese?
Yeah, we're going to talk...
All right.
That's how we're going to end this list. We're going to end this list with Ultra Cheese.
If I had known we were doing this, I would have made the blue shell number one.
Well, we'll learn then, I suppose. Metal Blades they became an instant replacement for your main Mega Buster in Mega Man 2, which was my first Mega Man. And I actually remember going to the video game store. It might have been a Mad Mike's or Tommy K's. Both were closer than the Blockbuster. And my dad asked me, this is the second one. You haven't played the first one. So should we look for the first one? I was like, no, let's just get this one. And I remember getting my magazine, looking through the order you're supposed to kill them all. And for whatever reason, I went out of order and I started with Metal Man. Number one, his music was the most badass. Let's get that out of the way. Metal Man had the best music of any of the Mega Man 2 bosses. You're wrong if you think otherwise. Maybe Flashman. He can get a number 2. But I beat Metal Man, who was a pain in the ass because you got to fight him on this walking escalator. And he's just jumping around and throwing around these metal blades like an asshole. And once you get him, you're gifted with said metal blade, which were also directional. You could throw them in multiple directions and instantly became a replacement because they did more damage, and the amount of times they would drop those little blue nodes that would replenish your energy bar, rather, were so many at this point in the game. And you could just tear through levels, no problem. You didn't need to know the priority list because the metal blades were, just shitloads better. and you could just cruise through the game playing with just the metal blades. This was my favorites in the franchise to this date, even in the X series, because it was the best Mega Man game, period. And getting metal blades is obviously a lot of nostalgia thrown into my logic behind me fondly remembering this series. No weapon that they've introduced has been as strong or ever will be because they are that big of a deal. So, because it will never be replicated in one of the most beloved franchises of mine ever, number one all-time weapon, the metal blades.
Yeah, I mean, they were broken. They fucking ripped through anything. Like, I think you understated that they were more powerful than your original weapon. They were the most powerful weapon in the entire game, and there was nothing anybody could ever do to stop you just burning through that game with the metal blades. But they were fun, which I gotta say, you know, everybody talks about they want challenge, but then when they get their hands on an OP thing, they're like, oh yeah, it's great. So
it's fine. It's balanced.
Yeah, exactly. So
I want challenge, but I need balance, so I need something OP to feel like a god. And I can tell people I beat Mega Man 2.
Exactly. But yes, very iconic. Anytime you think of Mega Man, obviously first thing is what they call it, the Buster, right? His
Mega Buster.
Mega
yes.
Buster. You know, obviously that comes to mind first, but if you're a gamer, you're thinking Metal Blades too.
Yeah, there's a reason why they put the metal blades as a thing he got in Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
And that was like the first thing they showed off him having. He didn't even shoot a shot from his Mega Buster. He took out the metal blades and they're like, okay, fucking awesome.
Is he actually shooting those blades or is he just flinging them?
He flings them.
Fling.
Such break. Much wow.
All right, so that wraps up our top 10, I would say, favorite weapons of all time?
That's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So that was episode 60. Check us back next week for episode 61, where we get back to regularly scheduled programming, and we'll talk about news and reviews. I am Matty D.
I'm Mr. Mike.
He's Mr. Mike. He's KG.
I'm going to remain quiet. I saw you were going with it, and someone was rude.
Check us out on iTunes. Give us a good review. Also, send any feedback. We will read it on the show. Probably make fun of you, too. GameRantRepeat@gmail.com. We'll catch you next time. Labas.
Wink.
Aloha.
All audio for the show provided by Ron Wynn. And as always, if you could rate us on iTunes, we would be most appreciative. Please go to GameRantRepeat.com to get all of our newest and archived podcasts. Also, join us on Twitter at GameRantRepeat and subscribe on YouTube, channel name GameRantRepeat. If you would like to email us, please send your comments and suggestions to GameRantRepeat@gmail.com. Don't forget to stop by our Facebook page at Facebook.com/GameRantRepeat and give us a like. Finally, look for our guild 2195 on BoardGameGeek.com under Game Rant Repeat and join us with discussions. Thanks for listening and have a good one.